Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Superfan.
We're just hanging out here with our little friend. And we just, all three of us in fact, just got back the other day from Amsterdam.
Yes, we did.
We took a trip that was about a little over a week. And while we were there, I did some used vinyl shopping. We checked out some of the local stores in the area. We also went to an open market.
Yeah.
When we're in another country, I kind of have to be very selective about what I pick up and what I don't because, you know, it has to be transported back and it either has to fit in a suitcase or it has to be shipped. And we've always been able to fit it in the suitcase and without any damage or any problems. And I'm happy to say that with this one too, everything came back just fine.
Yes.
We always, in case you're wondering what we do, I always save packaging from records that are shipped to me here and keep those set aside and put a couple of those into the suitcase for the trip. And so with these, using that packaging, we were able to bring home 5 records, which is the most I've ever bought on any international trip. In the past, I've limited myself to just getting maybe 2, maybe 3 records at most and leaving it at that. But this time we kind of got a bit more. And so
there was a lot more. There was a really good selection.
There was a good selection. And it was tough because, again, I can't bring home everything I want to. And I had to be very selective and very careful and decide, okay, I'll get this, I won't get that. And but we had a lot of fun. I mean, we did more than just that, of course. We did quite a bit in Amsterdam. Yeah, quite a bit. And and while we were gone, that's when the April Fool's video about the Sons of Beatles group premiered. I had to get that video ready before we left on our trip. I had to make sure it was ready to go and have it scheduled. And so we watched it grow in views while we were in Amsterdam. And we just wanted to say thank you. We really appreciate it because that's been the most successful of the, as far as views, the most successful of the April Fool's videos so far.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it. And the idea for it actually came from Superfan. She had forwarded me an article about Zach Starkey basically blowing holes through the whole idea that there would ever be a Sons of Beatles, supergroup. And that's when you said to me, for April Fools, you should do a video that it is going to happen. And I thought that's a good idea. And so we pretty much ad-libbed the whole thing, although I did write all the track listing, the song titles ahead of time. But anyways, though, let's talk about the records that we picked up. And so first of all here, we have a UK or European, whatever you want to call it.
It's a
UK pressing of Elvis Costello's Armed Forces. This was his 3rd album. After that, he would release Get Happy, which would be his last album with the Attractions, which is always a shame to me. I always thought that was a great band, Elvis Costello and the Attractions. I thought he had a great backup band. It was a shame they never could get back together. But this is on Radar Records. Let me just kind of show you some of this here. The track listing on this UK edition is different. And also, of course, the cover is quite different. And I'm going to pull this out here. Here's, of course, the inner sleeve. This is the exact same inner sleeve that was on the US version. And the cover here, by comparison, I'll show you. This is the US version here. I have a vintage US version here. And this is the cover. The image on the UK version is actually used on the back cover of the US version. Same inner sleeve. But just to kind of show you, though, another difference is this very complicated maze of fold-outs that you had to open up to get to the album. And it's like, I'm not going to do it all here, but like here's one. Let's see here. After this, then you've got another one here. And inside you can see the American cover on the inside. But very, very difficult to work with. There was a quote you you looked up some of the history behind it, and there was a quote from
Yeah.
Elvis Costello saying, "We made it deliberately impractical."
We tried to make it as ghastly and what was that quote?
Yeah, it worked. Because I said to myself, no way am I doing this every time I want to get to the record. So I do keep it packed separately from it, including the inner sleeve if I want to look at it.
Impractical and ghastly as possible.
Yeah,
It worked.
yeah, sure did. It also came with some postcards. Now, this is the only thing here. The original version had 4 postcards. This only has 3. It has the attractions postcards, Bruce, Steve, and Pete, but there's the one with Elvis is missing. And so, oh well. But still, though, picked it up because of just the uniqueness of it. Again, the track listing is different. And I thought it would be fun just to compare the audio as well to the American version. I think the American one sounds very good. And so it would be fun just to compare them. The American version has What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding at the end, which this one doesn't have. It has a different song on it, and one that I'm not as familiar with. But let me just go ahead and put this away real quick here. But yeah, I just keep it here in a sleeve here, and just put the record here in the back for easy access to it. And so that's Armed Forces. And we picked it up at a place called Waxwell Records. Then, here, little guy, why don't you sit over here? We picked up, speaking of Elvis Costello, picked up a copy of this year's model. And again, this is the UK version here. Let me pull this out here for you here. Give you a little look at it here. This also has a different track listing from the American version. It features Watching the Detectives, which I always knew from the first album, My Aim Is True. Here's the inner sleeve. And so, yeah, I was kind of surprised when I played it for the first time. And I heard Watching the Detectives at the end of side 1. That kind of surprised me. But we picked up this one here. And I noticed that every single dealer that I went to that was selling used records, they put their used records in these Mylar sleeves. I didn't have to add these on top. They came with them. And that was kind of a unique thing. That's just kind of, it seems to be, as far as I can tell from the stores I went to, a standardized thing. And since I had these 2 Elvis Costello albums, I did want to show this one here that I did not pick up in Amsterdam. I picked up here in the US at Rhino Records in Montclair, California. This is an original US pressing here of his first album. And it even has all the original hype stickers on it.
And the Music Plus price tag.
And the Music Plus price tag here from Music Plus stores, which no longer exist. Music Plus was the record store chain that Superfan worked for.
Yes. But that was before my time. That's an old sticker.
Yeah.
An older sticker than
before you worked there. Well, yeah, this came out in the late 70s. And I was still in school. You were still in high school at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't start to work at Music Plus till after you got out of high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. But I just wanted to show this one because it was cool. It just had the original hype stickers. It sounded fantastic. It sounded a lot better than my modern pressing that I have. So yeah, it was great to listen to. I will definitely be comparing my CD version to this, and I have a modern pressing of this one too. I'll be comparing that too. I'm kind of thinking that maybe this will also sound better than my modern pressing, just like this one did here. But we got those 2, and here we go. Next is Chicago 6. And this is a gatefold here, so I'll pull it out real quick here. Chicago is a band that, of course, for a long time was the greatest hits band for me. And then I only had 2 of their albums on CD, which was Chicago 1 and 2, which I later also picked up, found vintage copies of them on LP. And since then now, as I've been running across their 70s period albums, used vintage copies, I've been picking them up. And so that's kind of interesting that I'm beginning to explore their catalog by buying the used vinyl versus having them had them on CD originally. Here's the original inner sleeve. And of course, I noticed these there's this sticker here on it that actually is stuck on it. It says here NR, which I guess is short for number 1 in USA. Number 1 in USA. And featuring Feeling Stronger Every Day, Just You and Me, What's This World Coming To, Critics' Choice, Darlin' Dear, / Jenny, Something in the City Changes People, Hollywood, / In Terms of Two, Rediscovery. And this is like, I thought that this is not a sticker that's on it. It's part of the cover.
It's printed on the cover.
Printed right on the cover, yeah. But, so Chicago 6. Listen to this one. It sounds great. And a lot of tracks that I've never heard before. But I think they all sound fantastic. In fact, I was listening to this one today while we were making our dinner before we shot this video. So lastly, we also went to an outdoor market store. Not a store, but an outdoor market.
But yeah, it was a market. Kind of like an old traditional swap meet for those of you who remember that.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. And there were some record dealers, vendors out there as well. And there was one I went to where I picked up 2 records that I've been wanting to find vintage copies of for quite a while. And I found them both at the same place. The first one is Abraxas by Santana. And let me pull this one out too here. This also is a gatefold, so I'm gonna pull it out here for you real quick and let you see it. And there we go. Open it up. Oh, and I've pulled. It's this the record's in here in an anti-static sleeve. And again, I played all of these. They sounded great. Some skips and pops, maybe more on one than another, but nothing that was overwhelming or destroyed the experience for me. But this is the original inner sleeve here. It's pretty ragged from CBS Records. But what I like about this is just looking at the artists that they were advertising at the time. This album came out, I think, 1970. So I was, not even 10 years old when this album came out. But just looking at the artists that are on this here, Paul Simon, Neil Diamond, Loggins and Messina, Leonard Cohen. Look how young he looks here. Leonard Cohen. Garfunkel. On the other side, actually right here, yeah, we've also got Paul Simon. So they were already recording separately at that point. Bob Dylan. I don't know if I can pronounce this, the Mahavishnu Orchestra. You remember them, don't you? Martha Hoople, David Essex, Johnny Cash, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Santana, of course, and Chicago, and Miles Davis. So yeah, very cool to look at these old inner sleeves and the other artists that were on the label at the time that they were advertising.
Yeah, but do they give you the prices?
No, but it's just fun to look at, though. Someone put their name here on the inner sleeve here, on the gatefold here. Someone named Riley. Kind of hard to see, but it's right there. I see that on a lot of vintage records where people wrote their names on the top. Oh yeah, and I think he wrote his name right there too. It's hard to see, but it is there. It says Riley right there in the corner. But that was a common thing. People would write their names on their records.
Because you traveled with them, you tend to people would take them to parties and things.
Oh, you see, I didn't get invited to any parties, so that's why. Can you imagine that? Not wanting me at a party? But
every weekend.
Actually, yeah, I wouldn't even back then in the 70s. Not that I didn't go to parties. I did.
Your mom wouldn't let you go. Unless they had cake and ice cream.
Yeah. No, I did go to parties. I would just tell my mom I was going somewhere else. I would tell my mom I was going to the movies. And my parents were very conservative and very strict. So I would make up stories like a lot of teenagers did. But I would say I was going to the movies. Once I went to junior college, I went to some very serious parties, which I won't talk about right now. But even then, I was very protective about these types of things, and I wouldn't take my records to a party. I just wouldn't. I was protective about that. But I can see what you're saying. And maybe if you moved a lot, or maybe if you had brothers and sisters and you had the same records, you might put your name to identify this one's yours, especially if you loan it to somebody.
Yeah.
I can see where you do that too. But yeah, Abraxas. I have been looking for this one, a vintage copy. Cover is, maybe not in the greatest of shape. It's pretty. It's seen a lot of love, as the saying goes. But the record itself, I thought sounded really good. Some snap and crackled on the first track. That's kind of common, but not enough to make it unlistenable. A little bit of snap and crackle at the beginning, but otherwise, really, really enjoyable. I thought that worked out good. You just sit over here, little guy. And then finally, at that same open market, I picked up the Eagles Hotel California. And again, a vintage copy here. And of course, famous album. I'm sure many of you know the interior here. You've seen it before, I'm sure. This one here, double opening here. Here's, of course, the original sleeve. I've once again already listened to it here. There's the original sleeve. There's also a poster in here that I didn't know existed. There's this poster. Of course, I've only owned this on CD previously. I may have had a vintage, like a used copy way back in the day, but I never knew about this poster here. And if I did have it, it was probably a used copy that I would have bought once CDs were coming out and LPs were getting cheaper, because for that reason, used LPs. You could get them for a song, and of course, like a lot of people, I was trying to get CDs, but was still open to LPs if I, because they were cheap. Oh yeah, and then there's of course just the LP here. It has the same exact label as the original. I remember that. And so that is our vintage vacation vinyl haul. We didn't do this all in one day. We'd just be out and about doing different things, and then we'd say, "Oh, there's that record store we were looking for. Let's go check it out." In fact, Concerto Records.
Yeah, we kind of found that one by accident.
Yes.
We weren't actively looking. We were going to Rembrandt House Museum.
And we were trying to catch our tram, and the tram was delayed because of a protest march.
Yeah, it was a World Peace
protest march, and it was very peaceful. People were cheering them on. Even the people waiting for their tram were cheering them on.
They had a police.
They had a police escort even. So it's you wouldn't see that here, but yeah, they had a police escort, and it was a long march, but it delayed all the trams, and so we tried to. What happened exactly? But we couldn't make it to the Rembrandt House. So we tried to go to, or did we?
It was late in the day.
Yeah.
The Rembrandt House was closing in like an hour.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to
rush it.
Yeah.
We did end up going another day, but as a result of that, we somehow ended up running into that store.
Yeah.
And finding it, and we said, "Oh, well, it's here. Let's go." And because I actually had done a little bit of research of record stores in Amsterdam that best recommended stores prior to leaving, and that was one of them.
You do it.
She made me do it. She forced my hand.
Well,
she made me look for record stores.
I told you I wasn't going to look for them for you this time.
But woman, found my record stores. But
although I did find the market.
Yes, you did find the market, and like I said, I was really pleased with what I picked up there. But anyways, though, but that was the vacation haul, and let us know if you want to hear more about the trip.
Yeah. And
I did talk more about the trip with the patron supporters, and I also talked more about that Elvis Costello album with the patron supporters, because it was kind of I was doing a video about albums that were very influential to me as a teenager. And but anyways, though, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Let us know what you think in the comments. As always, if you like these videos, hit like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And thank you, patron supporters, for all that you do.
You are fierce and mighty.
Patron supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. Everybody, thank you for watching. We hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.